Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video I wanted to quickly go through some of the changes and modifications I made to the Jack Skellington animatronic that I plan on keeping and sort of the reasons why I chose them. So here on the left is the Jack that I plan on keeping long term. This one is sort of the reject parts. What I started out with was one Spirit Halloween Jack and one newer version from Walmart. So starting off, I decided to keep the hands and the head from the Spirit Halloween one, mostly because of plastic quality. Unfortunately, the paint is not as good as the newer versions. I like the newer versions shading a lot more, but the actual functionality and plastic quality is better on the older version. If you see, like, the seams aren't actually assembled well, and I think they used a low quality plastic, so it doesn't even line up. So the Spirit Halloween one is a lot smoother, and also the fingers go down further. It just has more movement. Whereas this one, the fingers don't usually go all the way back down, and it can get stuck, and sometimes the fingers will rapidly flap closed. And also the head sculpt, I noticed if you look from the side, Spirit Halloween's one down there has his head set a little bit forward compared to this one that's mounted straight up and down. And so you can see the Spirit Halloween one actually has a slight slant, whereas this one's straight. I think this is more movie accurate. However, again, plastic quality is lower, where the seams don't line up. His head here has kind of almost a gap. Just again, low quality plastic. I like the paint work again though, because this one has a black paint inside of his mouth, where this one is white. So I think this is more movie accurate, but I like the Spirit Halloween one also because the Spirit Halloween one feels like he's looking at you more, whereas this one seems like he's staring off into space just because of how tall he is. This one doesn't seem to really look forward at all. Also, you can see this black gap there, whereas this one is really very smooth with how they constructed it. And then going into the framework, I decided to keep the legs and obviously the shoes from the updated one. So this is the better quality welded frame that also has supports for his shoes. And you can also see this one has crossbars, whereas this one does not. And this one does not have any support for his shoes. And these are like the junkiest plastic. They're super flimsy. These are a lot more durable. Also, the newer one came with foam for his legs, whereas the older one didn't have any filling. This one also features a sort of guardrail here that makes him just look more full, whereas this one, again, always kind of looked a bit empty. Additionally, you can see the Spirit Halloween one features plastic connections here, which are a bit more prone to snapping. And this one's all metal construction. Then if I turn the figures around quick, so here on the back, again, you can see sort of lower plastic quality. That one's a lot smoother. So this is a combination of the Spirit Halloween controller with the shoulder from the newer version. And this is the arm from the Spirit Halloween one. The newer version Jack has a removable arm, which I liked, as well as a thicker metal there. Whereas this one is extremely flimsy. It's almost like a coat hanger, just sort of attached onto the plastic. Unfortunately though, the newer shoulder is again the cheaper type plastic that seems like it might snap. It's this like flash molded white. This is the shoulder from the Spirit Halloween one, which is black. Also, these connections are better made on the Spirit Halloween one. Whereas these, you can't even see them, but they're like, again, that same type of plastic. Also, I noticed the gearbox on the newer one is almost splitting apart. And they also did this hot glue job. I don't know why. That's just sort of to seal it, I guess. Whereas the Spirit Halloween one looks a lot more professional. I did this tape just to hold this cord in place. But the Spirit Halloween one fits together better. And both of these figures have a flaw in their design that there is no sensor in this gearbox to actually tell it to stop moving. So what they did is in their programming, whenever you boot it up, the figure tells that motor to go all the way down, and it will slowly damage and crack the plastic, especially if it's not fitted correctly. So this one was already sort of starting to pop apart, and it had burst 2 of the screws back there. When I had taken it apart, I noticed that. So I decided to obviously keep the original motor unit, and what I did change though is I like the newer version has barrel plug connections for his mouth, the arm motor, and the hand motor. So if I ever wanted to control this figure custom like I have done in the past, that was one of my first videos on this channel, I could just easily unplug this. Whereas before, what I had to do is try and put a wire inside of his head, because I didn't think to actually remove this. If I had removed this, it would have been a bit easier, but still, it's a more of a hassle on the older figure, because all the connections are made inside of this box pretty much. Also, I upgraded the Spirit Halloween computer board with a volume control. Originally there was none, and it was always just a bit too loud, so I would never want to have him plugged in because it felt like he was shouting at me, and most of the time it's just me observing the figure. And yeah, so I decided to put in the volume control. This is the step pad insert, and then you have sensor or off, which were the only features on the older version. I did decide to keep the Spirit Halloween computer board just because I like him being able to say individual phrases each time he's triggered, because I think it just gets a bit monotonous and annoying to actually have just one phrase that he says. Because I noticed this newer one, it just says all of his phrases in one loop whenever he gets triggered, which is just a bit obnoxious. I also noticed the Spirit Halloween one features a clap sensor. That's what this is. Whereas the new one does not feature any sound sensitivity. The new one relies completely upon this. It's basically a motion sensor, and this would be mounted in his shirt. But this is just, I mean, I like the motion sensor. It's definitely an upgrade compared to the original Spirit Halloween, which just featured it was a light sensor basically. So if someone walked past and there was a light change, he could detect that. So motion sensing is definitely an upgrade, but I also like the clap sensor. Now I'll go ahead and just demonstrate quickly what the two figures look like when they're operating.
There's got to be a logical way to explain this Christmas thing. Interesting reaction. But what does it mean? You're right. Something is missing. But what? I've got the beard, the coat, the boots. Ho, ho, ho! Ha, 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 ho!
that's pretty much the demonstration of the Walmart one. I have no idea, except for probably money cost, why they're all just chained together. On the box, it even claims that he speaks 10 phrases, but that's just one phrase pretty much. So I don't know if there's a glitch on my computer board, but it seems like he just loops them all at once whenever he gets triggered. So that was a bit annoying and disappointing in my opinion. I know that the Home Depot one, where it has a Halloween outfit, he just sings part of Jack's Lament. So I guess that's a bit better. So now doing the Spirit Halloween one.
Interesting reaction. But what does it mean? Halloween's finest trick or treat is, the job I have for you is top secret. It requires craft, cunning.
And you'll notice this is currently on near full volume.
You're right. Something is missing. But what? I've got the beard, the coat, the boots.
This is why it was a bit annoying before without any volume control.
Ho, 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 ha, 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 ho!
Unfortunately, the Spirit Halloween head is a bit
Who's
louder.
next on my list?
There's no buffer here to stop it, so it just clicks against his neck.
Come on, Zero. Christmas isn't over yet. Thank you. Thank you.
It is a bit annoying that he only has one movement that he ever does with his shoulder and his hand. The newer one does sort of change the programming.
It's great to be home. Merry Christmas.
So he only ever goes up, clenches his hand, and then goes back.
Santa Claus, in person. What a pleasure to meet you. Mr. Claus, I'm afraid I've made a terrible mess of your holiday. There's got to be a logical way to explain this Christmas thing.
So you can see the Spirit Halloween one has a few more phrases that they cut out of the Walmart one. Like the Halloween's finest trick-or-treaters. I'm not exactly sure why they put the phrase like something's missing, but what? I have the beard, the coat, the boots, with this one that never even had a Santa Claus outfit. So it is a bit strange that they didn't put a bit more effort into selecting some other phrases for him. But that's pretty much a full demonstration of the two figures and sort of the differences. If you have any questions or comments, just let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. If you're having trouble with your figure and you just need some help troubleshooting, I'm happy to answer any questions in the comments. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out the other videos on my channel.